Welcome to Ch.18 News. I'm Jim Rogers. There were two that addressed the Sulphur Springs City Council during the public hearing on tax revenue increase for 2017 last week, but on Tuesday, no one was present at noon to address the council in the second and final public hearing on the tax revenue rate. The council will conduct two meetings in September to approve the 2017 budget and the tax revenue rate. According to City Manager Mark Maxwell, the City of Sulphur Springs will deploy 4 firefighters and the Swiftwater Rescue Boat to the staging area in Humble, Texas, where they will report to the Harris County Fire Marshal. The firefighters leave Tuesday for the deployment that will be 5 or 6 days in length. The Water Rescue Unit will be coordinated through the Architects Council of Governments, with costs for the deployment being reimbursed by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Maxwell stated that while the 4 full-time professional firefighters are away, the city will call in a part-time crew to continue a fully staffed local fire department.
Johanna Hicks, who is one of our 2 Texas AgriLife Extension agents for Hopkins County, was recently at the state conference and was recognized with 5 different honors, including the Mary Wells Diversity Award, which is a national award. Let's find out more about this agent.
What I really want to know, Johanna, is how did we get you here in Hopkins County? How did you come to us? Are you from here?
I am not. Back in the mid-1980s, I had just finished my master's degree and was on the job search, and I found out about, at that time it was Texas Agricultural Extension Service, and how they have home economists and ag agents, and so I thought, well, I'll apply for that. So I applied for the position here in Sulphur Springs. I didn't know anybody from Sulphur Springs at all. I wasn't familiar with the area. But one of my college friends rode over here with me one Sunday. We visited church and kind of drove around the town. And she said, this is a nice little town. And I said, yeah, it is. And so I applied for the position, and I was hired. That was when Janie Crump was the extension agent. There were 5 of us at the time.
5?
We had 2 home economics agents, 2 ag agents, and 1 4-H agent. And so I was hired as one of the home economics agents, and I worked a lot with the youth programs, but I also worked with Janie doing adult programming. And then I met my husband here, and we married, and his job moved us to Stephenville. And so fast forward a few years, and his job moved us back to Sulphur Springs, and so we moved back in 1998, and Janie Crump said, now, Johanna, I'm thinking about retiring. You need to think about taking my position. Of course, when I came back, there were only 3 agents in the county. They had done some shuffling of positions, and they had an ag agent, a family and consumer sciences agent, and 4-H. And I said, Janie, you're not going to retire. Well, sure enough, she did. And so at the time I was working at the public library as the children's division director. Loved that job. And received several phone calls, asking if I had thought about applying for Janie's position because she was going to retire. And I said no, because I know how many hours, how many nights and weekends it takes, and I'm just not ready for that commitment yet. Well, I went ahead and applied, and the next day they called me offering me the position. So here I am, and that was in, that would have been in 2002.
Okay. So your second term, let's say here, has been 15 years long.
Yes, so a total of 20 years now.
Well, we are very blessed to have you in our community. I don't know if there could be a better, what we still call extension agent, anywhere. And so this is evident by some of the notices and awards and recognitions that you get. So where was this most recent meeting that you attended?
Well, it was my state conference, and it was held in Round Rock. And, of course, it's where extension agents from all over the state convened, and this was our Family and Consumer Sciences agents, formerly known as Home Economics.
Yes.
I always have to clarify that, but it was a state conference for all of the agents across the state.
And I just want to put in that I'm so happy that sewing is still, and it's even growing in popularity.
Well, it is, and Extension is kind of taking a new direction. They're wanting us to focus more on health and wellness. But to me, sewing is part of health, because for me, sewing is therapy. Okay. And I have some ladies, I just finished up a sewing workshop a couple of weeks ago, and one of the ladies is learning to sew so she can use it as an additional income for her family. So yes, sewing can be part of your financial health, I suppose. Also emotional health. It's very relaxing to me, and it's something that I enjoy doing. And you're right, there has been a resurgence in interest of sewing. And I did a T-shirt quilt workshop, and we had a 7th grader that brought T-shirts, and during the workshop she finished her quilt top using T-shirts, and it turned out very cute. So
That
yes.
is wonderful, and I think it's very encouraging. Well, you have 5 awards that you're going to tell us about?
Well, if you'd like me to. The Florence Hall Award is named after a lady named Florence Hall, and that award is given to individuals who have taken the messages they're receiving from their county, as far as emerging needs, and they have taken those suggestions and they've applied them to programming in their county. And with mine, it was skills camp that we do with 6th and 7th graders, life skills camp. And we just completed our 3rd year of this, and it's very much a hands-on thing for 6th and 7th graders. We do woodworking. This year we did art, woodworking, outdoor cooking, indoor cooking, and upcycling. And that included a little bit of sewing. And so that program won a state award.
The Florence Hall Award.
Yes.
To Johanna Hicks.
Yes, and what is the next one on there? I don't remember. The Environmental Education Award.
Oh, okay. So
that one, there's 3 on that one, actually.
Let me hold it up again.
The Environmental Education Award was for our Earth Kind Living Conference that we did back in November. This was a multi-county effort. We even had some of our administrators that served on the committee. And we put together a one-day conference, and we had 2 different tracks. We had Earth Kind Homes and Earth Kind Pastures, and we had some really top-notch concurrent session speakers. We had concurrent sessions. We provided lunch. It was a very, very good seminar just to teach people how to have Earth Kind friendly homes. And we had people say, oh, is this one of those tree hugger conferences? No, it is not. It's just teaching people how to, conserve energy, to save money, how to conserve water, how to have healthy homes, healthy pastures. And that initiative is one of the only ones that we know of in the United States that has focused on Earth Kind living. And so that one also won 2nd place nationally.
Okay.
Yes, so I'll be going to Omaha in October, the week before Fall Festival, and we'll be recognized with 2nd place on the Earth Kind Living Expo.
And then the Dean Don Felker Financial Management Award.
Yes, that one is a mouthful. He was actually a college dean. That's why it's Dean, and his name was Don Felker, so it's kind of a funny name. But with that program, I've focused on financial management for 2 different groups, young couples and parents who have small children. I've worked with Head Start and John Sellers, and every year we go to the school and we do some kind of money management with the Head Start parents, and I teach them the Thrive by 5 program, which is teaching kids, small children, that they can learn about money management, that when they go to the store they can't just take something off the shelf and carry it home. They have to exchange money for that item, and if they don't have enough money, then they can't get it. I think that's a story that a lot of people need to learn, is that if they don't have the money to buy it, they don't need to get it. So I work with that. And then with my marriage education workshop, I do a financial management segment in that, and we use something called the bean game, where they're allotted 20 beans. That's their budget. And then they have several different categories that they have to work as a team to spend their 20 beans. So it's a very good hypothetical program that helps them think about budgeting and where their money goes. So it's basically just simple money management. We talk a little bit about credit scores, and we talk about insurance and the importance of savings. So that's the Dean Don Felker Financial Award.
And you do these marriage workshops, which you just had one.
Yes, I just had one this past Saturday.
And do you ever see arguments break out over spending those beans?
Not really. A lot of times they'll say, well, we don't have enough money to have a budget. And I'll say, you're exactly the ones that need to have a budget. But that, for the most part, they learn that, they may not agree on everything, but they have to work as a team in order to make their finances work. And so it's a real eye-opener for a lot of them. And they don't think about the little expenses, that can really add up. That cup of coffee or that candy bar every day, that can add up quickly. And if they just set that money aside, then they can buy a larger purchase or put it aside for home improvement or whatever, and not so much wasted on other things. So it's an eye-opener.
This one says Multi-County Programming Award.
Yes, that one is also for the Environmental Education Award, and that is because we did work with several counties in Northeast Texas. And then there's another one that didn't actually make it on there. I'm surprised. But it was actually the Mary W. Wells Diversity Award, and I forgot that it didn't make it on there. But that one is a national award, a first place national award.
Really?
I worked with an agent in Cass County, and we did a program called Cooking with Disabilities. And in the program, we don't call them disabilities, we call them differently abled.
Okay.
Because what we did, we had an exercise where we gave each person in the group a certain disability. If they had a vision problem, then they would wear goggles that were smeared with Vaseline. If they only had the use of one arm, they had to tie one arm behind their back. If they had a hearing problem, the person had to wear earplugs, and so on. And we had them to work as a group to make fruit parfaits, and everybody in the group had a fruit parfait. Of course, if you're blind or cannot see, you have to ask for help in cutting the strawberries. If you only have one arm, it's really hard to eat that yogurt because it wants to pull the cup up when you dip the spoon in. So they had to work as a team and find out that each one brought different strengths to the group, and even with their disability, they could still perform. And so that was a really neat program that we did.
Well, we're very proud of you and these state and national awards that you have brought home to your office here in Hopkins County.
Thank you.
And we don't have a whole lot of time left, like 1 minute or so, for some announcements.
Okay. Diabetes. I have a Cooking Well with Diabetes series coming up in September. It's a 4-day series. I'm doing a 1:30 session and a 6 o'clock session.
Good.
So that people can pick and choose the time that works best for them. It's going to be September 12th, 14th, 19th, and 21st at my office.
Okay.
If they want more information, they can contact me. It's going to be a wonderful program. Fall Festival's coming up. Creative Arts Contest. Now is the time to be working on those entries. I have all the entry divisions, and we're hoping to have 250 entries this year.
Okay.
And then the Arts and Crafts Show, where people can come and sell their handmade goods. I've gotten really good response so far. I still have some good spots left, but it's still early in the game, and so I'm sure that we'll have a full house again this year. One last thing that I almost hate to mention, because I'm afraid it's going to fill up and then I'll not be able to promote it anymore, but it's my annual Christmas Joys program that's scheduled for Monday, November 6th at the Southwest Area Museum. Again, I'll be offering 2 times, 1:30 and 5:30. And in the past, both sessions have filled up. And already I have 20 signed up for the 1:30 and about 5 signed up for the 5:30. But that is the annual Christmas Joys holiday program.
Well, if they fill up, I hope you can schedule some more.
Well,
that's wonderful.
I'm doing one in Delta County just for the ladies over there.
Okay.
So,
well, that's great. Well, we thank you for sharing all that you love. I know you love your job and you love the things that your job entails. Yes, it is weekends and nights and lots of hours, but I just don't know anybody else that could just do that as effortlessly as you seem to.
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Here's Don Julian with sports.
The Wildcats offense scored 6 touchdowns against Sherman in a 43-42 season opening win at Gerald Prim Stadium last season. Wildcats offensive coordinator Matt Young talks about the Wildcats offensive play in last Friday night scrimmage at Liberty ILO and about the Sherman defense the Wildcats will be facing Friday night in this season opener at Sherman.
It was roller coasters, how I described it with the kids. We did some good things, we did some bad things. We saw the consequences of not being consistent, put ourselves in a hole and stopped drives, really kept us from getting drives going. Once we were able to get a first down, we usually strung them together, either into the end zone or 8-play, 9-play drive. And one I got a little bit greedy on a shot. But really that's the biggest take from it. We were able to get our nerves out a little bit. LE exposes, a false step or a shuffle here or there. I know receiver-wise, we're going to continue to improve our releases because they got their hands on us a couple times and bothered us. But really pleased. Otherwise, I thought our running backs ran the ball well when given the opportunity. I thought quarterbacks delivered the ball extremely well. I thought throws were accurate, and just kind of really excited down the road where this goes.
Yeah, you had one sustained drive and then one really beautiful long bomb that on the evening, and so.
Yeah, there was another one that we had off our hands. There was another drive that was about 8 plays, and then I tried to take another shot, and they had a guy go make a one-handed pick on us deep. But even in those cases, we're able to learn from those things. Otherwise, there was just a lot of single mess-ups where one guy makes. It wasn't the beauty of the other night. As talented as LE was, it wasn't them defeating us. It was a guy sliding the wrong direction, a guy missing a band call, or then just a drop. And it's just some of it was first guy jitters. We had some guys getting their first Friday night action against a top-notch opponent, and so the pace was a little bit quicker and the popping was a little bit harder. But at the same time, it was good. A lot of those guys calmed down and made plays as the night went on. So extremely excited about what we get to do this Friday.
Let's talk about this Friday, Sherman Bearcats. What have you seen from their defense?
They're different than LE. They're a top-notch opponent. They're bigger, a lot bigger up front. Really thick kids. They do a great job coaching technique. I think they do a great job in their zone drops. They'll have guys that look like they're playing with 15 guys. There's so many guys getting back into coverage. They don't play with quite the foot speed, but their alignment, and nobody plays with the foot speed LE. But they have some dynamic players at linebacker. They got one back in the secondary safety. And it's really just a good challenge for us to line up and execute and move the ball. And if we don't, we won't move the ball. And if we do, we will.
You had a very, very good game offensively last year. Got a lot of kudos for your play calling and stuff. You mixed it up so well. I mean, it's like, had 4 different running backs scored. Both your wide receivers caught touchdown passes. So I guess, that you can kind of just throw the kitchen sink at them again this year.
Yeah, that's the exciting thing for a game. I mean, scrimmage-wise, we were really limited. We probably ran 30 to 40% of our offense Friday night for what's ready right now. And so the kids are excited because we get to unleash the full package this week. I think we got comfortable with our pace of play. We're going to move at a good tempo. And we're about to roll a lot of people. There should be 5 or 6 guys catch a pass every night. There ought to be 5 or 6 carry the ball every night, along with quarterbacks. So just really excited to see that potential with those guys, with what DeCorian and Ryan will both bring to the table, and then a host of receivers and running backs, and see how a full game plays out.
Great time of year, isn't it? Everybody's undefeated.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's going to win. One of the Sherman goals is to win state. So, it's that kind of time of year.
It is. You got a lot of promise. The biggest thing, just reminding our kids, it's still a process. Because we have so many kids that contribute in different ways, I think it's going to see us improve as the season goes tremendously.
Friday night, the Wildcats defense has the task of trying to slow down a Sherman Bearcats offense that has several talented weapons, including a large running back that scored on 3 long runs for TDs last season against the Wildcats. Wildcats defensive coordinator Tristan Abram gives us his assessment of the Wildcats defensive play in the Liberty-Ilo scrimmage and then discusses the Sherman offense his defense will be facing this Friday night in Sherman.
We have to do a better job of preventing big plays, because even the other touchdowns that they scored, with the exception of one, I believe they were all big plays. Mm-hmm. And the great thing, the positive thing is that all those things are fixable. They're fixable, and there was nothing that was wrong with what we do schematically. It was just, one person not being where he was supposed to be, didn't run the right stunt, didn't run the right blitz, was in the wrong coverage, didn't communicate the coverage, and all those things are extremely frustrating, but they're fixable. So I'm pleased with what we did with an extremely athletic, very fast football team. Their O-line was, man, they were athletic. The quarterback was athletic. I mean, it was really good to go and scrimmage a team with those types of kids, and to see where you really are at this point in the preseason.
And Deidrick Dugan kind of announced his presence in a big way very early.
He did. They come out and they ran the screen, and D did a great job. I mean, watching it on film, he did a great job of filling the screen, put his foot in the ground and retraced the steps, went straight to the running back. Running back caught the ball, and he just took the ball from him. It was literally like, that ball's mine, give it here, and went and scored. And I thought that was pretty impressive that he outran the quarterback to that pylon. So D did a good job of like you said, announcing his presence, and did a good job playing ball that while he was in that night. I believe we pulled him out maybe mid-second quarter. I don't think he played very much after that, but he did a really good job while he was in.
As we look back on the Sherman game last year, it was at home here, and we won by 1 point, 43-42. And I remember a big running back that was just very hard to tackle, and he made 3 long touchdown runs on us. Right,
yes, he did. And that big running back is back.
Yes.
We've already been talking about him. We're doing the best we can to prep for him. But whenever you have a kid that size with that type of speed, unfortunately, you don't have a lot of kids in your program that you can pick from to simulate that. So right now we're doing the best we can with the simulation to play a big back like him. In saying that, we have to do a good job of tackling. We can't just run up and throw a shoulder and do all of these types of things. We have to be technicians when it comes to tackling this kid, because he does a great job of running. He has great vision. I mean, he's not just a kid that's just going to, there's a hole right there and I'm going to hit it, and if it clogs up, I'm just going to make my way. I mean, he's going to hit the hole, and if that hole clogs, he's going to cut, and then there's an opening, and it's probably going to be a one-on-one tackle, and you better bring it whenever you come to make the tackle on him. So I told the guys yesterday, you better put your big boy pants on and bring it, because this young man does a great job of running the football. He has great vision. He's a good back. We're going to have our hands full dealing with him, as well as the quarterback that we saw. I don't know what number he's going to be during scrimmages. We do the same thing. Everybody does. They wear these wacky numbers. But the quarterback that I believe is going to end up being the starter, he's probably about 6'3", 6'4". At least he looks that tall on film, and he may be about 230 pounds himself. He is huge. But he does a good job in the pocket. He has a quick release, I think that if he decides he wants to keep the ball and run it, he could be a handful to try to get down as well. But then they have another young man that they brought in at quarterback who he's a smaller kid that does a good job with his feet. He's quicker, and he's probably more of a run threat very similar to a Ryan or a Decorian that, you better contain him or he's going to hurt you. So those two guys are in the backfield with the big running back that again we have our hands full with, and then they have several receivers that I think are pretty big targets. That they do a good job of getting the ball to. They have one in particular who plays the X position that if he's going to wear 4 on Friday night, he wore 4 in the scrimmage, and he is extremely active. I believe Coach Young told me he also plays safety on defense. And on offense, he's extremely active. He does a great job blocking, and then he does a great job with the ball in his hands, once they throw him the ball. So we have to do a good job of containing not only him, but the other 3 guys that are out there with him. They have a kid that they'll utilize as a true H-back that will line up as a wide receiver sometimes. He'll line up as a running back in the backfield, as well as he'll line up as a tight end. So, they do a lot of things with that guy that from a defensive standpoint, I personally don't like those types of things because you can change the dynamic of what you're doing formationally by one kid, and I don't ever know where he's going to be. So that kind of handcuffs the way that I would normally call a defense. But with all that being said, and their O-line is huge. Those guys are big. They do a great job of coming off the ball. I told one of the coaches from Sherman, I can't remember who it was after the game last year. First of all, they did a great job coming in last season, those coaches did, and getting those kids on the right track. Well, now it's a year later, so they're really rolling and doing some things that are really good offensively. And I really believe that we're going to have to come ready to play because they did a good job of executing their offense against a really, really good Kennedale defense on Friday. So we're going to have our hands full, but I think that if we can have a better day of practice than we did yesterday, we might be okay. But if not, then it might be a long night for the dark side come Friday night. But I'm going to do everything I can to prevent that from happening. So the guys may not like me come Friday, but that's okay. Take that anger out on Sherman.
There you go. The head football coach of the Sherman Bearcats is J.D. Martinez. He's in his second year at Sherman. Coach Martinez is a veteran coach. Sherman is his 9th coaching stop, and he's been in coaching 25 years. He expects his team to be better this year, as his coaches have been on the job working with the players all of this past year. Coach Martinez says his number one goal is to make the playoffs. He also wants some playoff success. An improved Sherman should have a good chance at a playoff spot. Powerful Denton Ryan is expected to dominate their district, but after that, the rest of the district should battle for the other 3 spots. Coach Martinez also wants Sherman to reclaim the axe from rival Denison. On offense, the Bearcats have a big running back returning, Nate Omayabu. Coach Martinez says he carried about 18 times a game last year, and he says that number may increase. Ben Cross and Blaze Benson are competing to be the starting Bearcats quarterback. All-district wide receiver Rashawn Wilson, also a tremendous Sherman basketball player, returns. A couple more basketball standouts have joined the Bearcats football team on the receiving corps this season. 4 players who started or played significant minutes return on the Sherman offensive line. On defense, the Bearcats are expected to be a lot more aggressive and physical this season, according to Coach Martinez. Coach Martinez says if Sherman and the Wildcats play another of those 43-42 games this year, he hopes the Bearcats can make a few stops and come out on top this year.
Thanks for watching Channel 18 News. Have a great evening.